So, you're young and creative. You've got ambition, you've got ideas, and if you're honest, you've also got a little bit of doubt. Maybe you want to start something, a brand, a project, build a team, or maybe you've already started something and still you feel like you're waiting for permission, waiting for someone to say, now you can really go for it. There's a voice inside of your head that whispers, I don't know what I'm doing. I lack the experience for this. I don't deserve to be in this room. If that is you, then this video is for you, because we're going to talk about what imposter syndrome is, why it comes up, how to work through it, and why actually it may be a sign that you are on the right track. So let's kick off by saying imposter syndrome isn't just about self-doubt. It's the belief that you are not who people think you are. It is that their compliments don't feel real, that the opportunities that came to you came by accident, that eventually someone is going to tap on your shoulder and say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. But here's the truth. Feeling this way doesn't mean you're a fraud. It actually means that you're growing. It shows up when the world is finally reflecting back to you a version of yourself that even your own mind hasn't caught up to yet. It is a mismatch between how others see you and how you see yourself. That is where imposter syndrome lives. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It actually means you care. It means you want your work to matter. It means that you're walking into spaces now that your past self prayed for. And that discomfort is not proof that you don't belong. It is proof that you're in the right place. And believe me, that feeling doesn't just show up for people who are lost. It shows up for people who are on the way, all the way up. The high achievers at a young age, the first generation builders, people with a growth mindset in general, people who care about the quality of what they create. And it shows up specifically when you step into rooms and positions that your younger self never even imagined being in, and you start to wonder whether you snuck into that room. But you didn't sneak in, you were sent. One of the places that imposter syndrome hides best is in this cloak, this protective layer, this idea of perfectionism. Perfectionism is that controlling voice that says, don't post it until it's perfect. Don't speak up until you know more. Don't move until it's flawless. But perfectionism isn't about high standards. It is about fear. It is about not a commitment to excellence, but rather a strategy to avoid being seen as wrong. It is self-doubt wearing the mask of ambition. And here's the trap. You think everyone else is confident, smooth, certain. You assume that they belong while you're just figuring it out. And so you start performing, you start polishing, you start hiding. But perfectionism doesn't create connection. The only thing that creates connection is presence. And nobody follows perfection. They follow truth. They follow energy. They follow you. The moment you trade perfection for reality is the moment that you stop performing and start connecting. I know this feeling because I've lived it. When I was 19, I created a music streaming service, and by the time I was 22, we'd built the whole platform out. We had raised millions of pounds. We were managing 20 or so people. I was walking into board meetings with people twice and 3 times my age. From the outside, it looked like I had arrived, but on the inside, I felt like I was winging it, like almost the whole time. I felt like I had tricked someone into believing that I was more ready than I really was, and that any day now they would figure it out. And that is what imposter syndrome does. It makes you feel like you have to earn the right to exist, even in rooms that you created yourself. But here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect to lead. You don't need to know everything from the start. You just need to keep showing up with an open heart and with willing hands. The first step towards overcoming imposter syndrome is not louder confidence, it is quieter truth. It is catching the voice in your head and teaching it to speak differently. It is realizing that that voice is not prophetic, it is programming. What you repeatedly say becomes a belief. What you repeatedly believe frames your reality. So if you speak fear to yourself, you will live like an imposter, even when you're the one building the stage. But here's the reframe. Instead of asking, what if I'm not enough? Ask instead, what if I'm exactly what this moment, this situation, this time calls for? It isn't about pretending. It's about remembering. Your inner voice sets the tone for your outer life, so train it to speak with love, not with fear. Here's the thing about your mind. It forgets lots of the wins and remembers lots of the wounds. So you'll hold on to that one rejection email for 3 years and forget the 20 people that said that your work moved them to the point of tears last week. So for your first pillar, what I want you to do is flip that. I want you to create a proof folder, a place, a digital or physical space where you collect receipts of your growth. That can be kind messages, it can be finished projects, it can be photos of moments that you are proud of, feedback that landed in your inbox, prayers that got answered, highlights of your life. So that whenever imposter syndrome whispers and says you've not done anything or you're not qualified, you can return and say, actually, here is the evidence. You're not guessing at your value at that point. You've built a record of it. And the more that you collect, the harder it becomes to forget who you really are. For your next pillar, I want you to create, even before you're ready. Confidence, a lot of the time, doesn't come before the act. It comes after. Not in the planning, but in the doing. The more you finish things, even small things, the more your nervous system rewires itself to that change and says, oh, I'm the kind of person who does X things, who does brave things, for example, because every time you hit post or you speak up or you share your work, you are sending a new message to your own mind saying, this is who I am now. I'm not someone who waits for permission. I'm not someone who stops and pauses. I'm someone who walks in purpose, on purpose. I don't wait for clarity to create. I create first, and clarity catches up. For our third pillar, I want you to surround yourself with mirrors, not judges. The people around you shape who you become. So take a look. Are they mirrors or are they judges? A judge will make you shrink, keep you second guessing, hold a ruler to your spirit and say, not enough. But a mirror reflects back what is already true, your potential, your essence, your becoming. A mirror will say, you are already powerful. You just forgot that in this moment. So if you don't have those people yet, go find them. Start small. Go one conversation at a time. And if no one else is around, then be that voice for yourself. Because you become what the people around you reflect back to you. And you deserve to be valued by people who see you clearly. Here's the thing about value. There is a dangerous lie in success culture that your worth is tied to what you produce. That your value rises when you go viral, when you raise a round, when you ship the thing. But the truth is that you are not your work. You are the one doing the work. Your creativity is beautiful, but it's not the root of your identity. Your work can evolve, your titles can change, your metrics can fluctuate, but your worth is fixed. And when you're anchored in that, you stop chasing approval and start creating from a place of alignment. You stop performing and you start expressing, not to prove, but to pour. Because when you create from identity rather than insecurity, that is when imposter syndrome really starts to lose its grip. And there's one more layer. Because no matter how many affirmations you speak, no matter how many projects you post or compliments you collect, there will always be days when you feel like none of it is enough. And on those days, you will need something deeper, something unshakable, something truer than your talent. And that is where faith comes in. Because if you believe, like I believe, in God, then you know that your self-worth is not self-generated. You are not self-made. Your worth was spoken over you before the metrics, before the milestones, before the masks. You did not get here by accident. You were sent here. You were chosen, handpicked, not to be perfect, but to be present, not to perform, but to play. And that changes everything. Because when your value is rooted in being a child of God, your creative work becomes an offering. It's not a test that you're trying to pass. Grace covers your gaps. Calling fuels your confidence. And peace makes space for courage. So yes, be bold. Be ambitious. Build something big. Don't build it to prove anything. Build it to say thank you. Thank you to the one who called you. And so I want to get really practical with you, because here's the truth. You don't overcome imposter syndrome all at once. You live your way out of it. And I've come up with a path, a 12-week process, if you may, that will help rewire your creative identity from the inside out. And we're going to go through it now. In phase 1, that is weeks 1 to 4, we're going to focus on awareness. Your goal is to understand the limiting voice, to give it shape and break its spell. In week 1, we're going to name that voice, write down exactly the words that your inner critic says, give it a name, make that name separate from you. In week 2, I want you to track your triggers, to notice when that imposter shows up, in what rooms, with what people, in what moments. In week 3, I want you to rewrite the script. Flip every lie that tears you down into a truth that builds you up. Turn I'm not qualified into I'm becoming. And in week 4, collect and collate evidence that you got from your proof folder. Revisit it often and watch your mind change as you really identify with that new self. Then from weeks 5 to 8, we're going to focus on action. The goal is to rewire your brain through action, even if it is imperfect, because imperfect action beats perfect planning. So in week 5, I want you to create publicly, to post something, share a project, start small, but start. In week 6, I want you to finish. Not perfect, but finish a project. Ship something that is incomplete. Let done be good enough this time. In week 7, I want you to ask and then survive the feedback. Request feedback, pitch an idea, ask for help, and you will learn, good or bad, that you didn't die from asking. In week 8, I want you to teach what you know. So mentor someone, share a tip, tell a story. Helping others really reveals your own authority, and the best way to learn is to teach. And that leads us into our third and final phase, which we call embodiment. This is weeks 9 through 12. The goal is to step into who it is that you already are. In week 9, I want you to create a ritual. That is, building a weekly practice that grounds you spiritually, creatively, or both. In week 10, I want you to reflect on your journey, to look back, review your old notes, and realize how far you've already come, and be proud of that. In week 11, I want you to share your truth, to tell your story to someone, not the highlight reel. Include all the gory details, all the embarrassing moments, all the bits that were hard. That vulnerability is really empowering. And in week 12, I want you to claim your new role, to write it, speak it, and own it, to a point where you are no longer performing, but you've truly integrated the fact that you are a creative vessel, a way for the universe, a way for God to manifest itself through you. Now, you don't need to complete this list perfectly. You just need to start somewhere to get the ball going. And remember, you are not behind. You are not here by accident. There is no mistake. You were sent here now. And that voice of doubt is not an enemy. It is just the sound of your former self watching your future self rise. So let it watch. Let it whisper. But keep building anyway. Because the truth is, you don't need permission. You need practice. You don't need to prove your value. You need to remember it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. This is your time. This is your letter. Signed with hope, sealed with grace, delivered with love. Onwards and upwards, and speak to you soon. Lokes.